Welcome to my review of Greenland, directed by Rick Roman Waugh. I hope that's how you pronounce his name. Once again, starring Gerard Butler, teaming back up from their previous effort, Angel Has Fallen, a disaster movie in 2020, because we don't need real life for that at all. Anyway, let's talk about it. We follow a family fighting for survival as a planet-killing comet races to Earth, and they make a perilous journey to their only hope for sanctuary. Now, before we get going to this review, I know my review is a little bit late. That's what happens when I'm not from the States and can't watch movies as soon as they come out over there. So let me know your thoughts, because I'm sure if you're interested in this movie, you've already seen it. So let me know what you think of Greenland, and if you're new here, considering clicking that subscribe button, and also the likes and shares, and I have a merch store that just opened. My merch is available at TeePublic and Redbubble, so go check those designs out, and more to come very soon. So for those who don't know, I'm a huge fan of Gerard Butler. I think he's one of the most criminally underrated actors in all of Hollywood, has been for years, and he should get more big roles. I don't understand how he didn't become like this A-list actor that constantly gets cast in all the major motion pictures. As much as a fan as I am of Gerard Butler, I have not been a fan of his latest movies. So I love Gerard Butler, but I have not been loving Gerard Butler movies. So I went into this very hesitantly so. It's a disaster movie. It's from the same director who did Angel Has Fallen, which I did not like despite being a huge fan of Olympus Has Fallen. I kind of really enjoyed this movie. Now, don't get me wrong, Greenland will have every single issue that you expect Greenland to have, being a disaster movie, being from the same director of Angel Has Fallen. It has all the cliches, it has all the familiar beats, it has everything that you don't like about disaster movies. However, if you're a fan of disaster movies, it kind of has everything you love about disaster movies. Not only that, the family element of this film really works. It's set up in a very proper manner, it's developed very well so, and it reaches a very satisfying conclusion. This is a film that actually does focus on the family dynamic, and the comet is constantly there. That disaster element of the film has a constant presence. It's also set up in a very proper fashion. So the allegory of the earth being torn apart, but this family, which already has fractures in their relationship, holding on together and fighting for them not to be broken apart, it's extremely satisfying to watch and even compelling. Again, the family relationship is established very properly so, but the characters as well. You understand these characters, their motivations, their goals, what they struggle with, what they're afraid of, who they love, and how far they are willing to go. And especially Gerard Butler's character, who is really good in this film, I'm sorry to say. I know it's a disaster movie, it has its ceilings for sure. I'm not saying Gerard Butler is going to win an Oscar with this film, nor should he, but he is really giving a good performance, especially with everything I was afraid this film was going to do, which again, it does, but it has this really well-founded, very well-developed, and compelling core to it. There's even an arc which he goes through, and the film at one point does something that really affects this character, and so he changes his entire point of view on something, and then the film pays that off near the end multiple times, showing how our character has learned his lesson. And again, while the film does have all the issues you expect from a movie like this, it also does all the right things a movie like this should do. It's constant fear and suspense and tension throughout the film. You also get to see kind of the best of humanity. You also get to see kind of the worst of humanity throughout the film and how everyone would react to a situation like this. But again, do not get me wrong, this film is filled with issues. One of them is, yes, the film does run a little too long. It's about an hour 40, I believe, 100 minutes in total with credits, and I think they could have cut it. They could have cut like 5 minutes of the film. I can think of one specific scene where the characters just basically go back and forth to end up in the same place where they started, and they just waste a little too much time on it. There are also some supporting performances that you can see are not very well directed. I'm not blaming the actors. I think it's always the director's fault if an actor doesn't give a proper performance, especially when it's supporting actors, when they're just like in one quick scene. It's telling that the director didn't care too much to validate their performances. And one more thing that I never thought I'd say about this film is that it seemed it was going for a very courageous, very highbrow ending, which honestly I thought it would have fitted this, because the arc for the characters, the story, the thematic elements were concluded in that, and then it has one final scene to really properly tie a knot on the film, which I'm not going to say it ruins the film. This is not one of those films that you can ruin, but I would have really liked for that last scene not to happen. And if you have seen the film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That final scene, I just would have preferred not to be there. Greenland is going to be one of those films that if you see the trailer and hate it, you're going to hate it. If you see the trailer and love it, you're going to love it. It's a proper disaster movie with all the expected cons, all the expected pros, but the compelling family element and character element really surprised me. It has a good foundation, it pulls off what it wants to pull off mostly well. Again, with all the issues around it, the cracks would have always been there for better or worse, and it actually worked out for the better in my opinion. I'm giving Greenland a B-. Now, what did you think of Greenland, my beautiful geekies? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. And again, if you're new here, if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button because you've been watching the video up until now. And also like and share with your friends. And of course, again, do check out the merch store if you want to support the channel even more. And if you just like some cool designs, whether it's pins, whether it's t-shirts, hoodies, and many more stuff in Redbubble. Like, actually Redbubble has some insane clothing stuff that I never thought no website would have. It's actually gonna be weird if you get my designs on a mini skirt or something. Thank you so much for watching. You are the best. Stay tuned for many more reviews to come for Jungleland, Dreamland, and I will complete the Land trilogy of 2020. And so until the next video, stay beautiful, stay geeky, but most importantly, above everything else, forever and always, love each other and love the movies.